Baby is abandoned for having a big tongue, is adopted, and today looks like this. The baby's oversized tongue was a result of Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, a genetic condition that can cause abnormal growth of specific parts of the body. The rare condition affects about 1 in 13,700 newborns worldwide. Adorable Paisley Morrison Johnson was born with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, a rare overgrowth disorder. Paisley Morrison Johnson from South Dakota had such a large tongue that doctors feared it would block her airway. The rare condition caused the little girl's tongue to grow more than twice the size of her mouth, known as macroglossia, and it even shocked doctors who said it was one of the largest tongues they had ever seen. Approximately 90% of children with BWS have an enlarged tongue, which can lead to breathing, feeding, and speech problems. As a result, until she was 6 months old, Paisley had to be fed via gastrostomy tube because she struggled to eat and wasn't receiving the vital nutrients needed to keep her alive. Meanwhile, for the first week of her life, she was unable to breathe by herself, relying on a ventilator. Worried parents Madison Key, now 21, and Shannon Morrison Johnson, 23, hoped their daughter's mouth would grow to accommodate her overgrown tongue, but it never did. Even after surgery to reduce its size, Paisley's tongue continued to grow back and still hung out of her mouth. But 6 months ago, Paisley had her second tongue reduction and has smiled for the first time after having a total of more than 6 inches of muscle removed. Paisley, who is now 16 months old, has even started to make the sounds that will allow her to speak her first words. Mom of 2 Madison, a student, said, "Her tongue was constantly sticking out. She was always chewing on her tongue because it took up so much room in her mouth. When she was born, it was so enlarged that doctors were worried it was going to affect her airways and cause her to suffocate. Doctors tried bottle feeding her, but they couldn't find any nipple that would help her because of her large tongue. Doctors told us she had one of the largest tongues they'd ever seen and that the sooner she had reduction surgery, the better. Since recovering, she smiled for the very first time. I couldn't believe it and was shocked by how beautiful my little girl looked. She's like a completely new baby. Her facial features look different, she smiles a lot, and she's even getting close to saying her first words. She couldn't even make the sounds to say words like mama and dada before because of the size of her tongue, so this feels like a massive achievement." Before having her reduction surgeries, Madison noticed that people would stare at her daughter because of her enlarged tongue, which is one of the main symptoms of BWS. When she was born, it was so enlarged that doctors worried it was going to affect her airways and cause her to suffocate. Other symptoms of the condition include creases behind the ears, one side of the body being larger than the other, and a higher birth weight than usual. Because her tongue protruded out of her mouth and constantly stuck out, it always looked like she was making silly faces. Quite often, strangers would stare at her and some would make comments. They would always ask me why she looked so different and why she had such a huge tongue. Doctors hope that Paisley won't need further tongue reduction surgery and are now monitoring for other risks associated with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. Children with the condition have a 7 to 25% chance of developing cancerous tumors, and so Paisley will have ultrasounds and blood work every 3 months until she's 8 years old, when the risk significantly drops. Since her second surgery, her tongue hasn't grown back as much, and it isn't affecting her eating or drinking out of a bottle, which is great. Today, the 16-month-old is readjusting to her baby tongue and quickly becoming one of the most facial expressed babies ever, Kino says. She's one determined little girl. She has a lot of fight in her. It has been a thrill to see how far she's come over the past year and a half, the proud mother said. She's still being monitored. Every 3 months she has scans and blood samples taken to monitor for tumors, which is one of the cons of BWS. According to the National Institutes of Health, children with BWS need to be monitored regularly for tumors, but the risk of cancer drops at about 8 years old. Any faster asymmetric growth also slows over time, so Paisley's symptoms should slowly go away. Despite this, she seems like a very happy baby and is being well taken care of, so we're really confident about her future. Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, BWS, is a congenital growth disorder, which means it's present at birth. BWS has various signs and symptoms, including a large body size at birth and taller than average height during childhood, a large tongue, and hypoglycemia or low blood sugar. The most common features of BWS include macrosomia, large body size, macroglossia, large tongue, abdominal wall defects, an increased risk of childhood tumors, kidney abnormalities, hypoglycemia in the newborn period, and unusual ear creases or pins. Your child's doctor may diagnose them with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome based on a detailed review of your child's medical history, an extensive physical examination, including noting the distinguishing features of BWS. Specialized tests such as blood work or sounds may also be performed for confirmation. If you like this story, please share and subscribe to our channel to see more. Thank you for watching.